Hi scholars, so before I start I just want to apologize if I sound far away or if this sounds kind of like an echo. I'm in the classroom and I'm using the laptop's microphone, so it may sound a bit odd, but I feel this is a little bit better than using my headphones. So I apologize if it sounds weird. So let's get started. Today we're doing Module 1, Lesson 2, and our learning intention is thoughtful mathematicians relate multiplication to the array model. And I'll explain what that is in the actual lesson, so don't worry if you don't know what an array is. So please pause now and read the vocabulary to yourself. Again, pause now, read the vocabulary to yourself because we already went over it in yesterday's lesson, but I just want you to refresh your memory. So when you're ready, you can press play, and I'm going to continue now. So I'm going to start with the lesson. This is the I do, so I'm going to be showing you, and you'll just be watching for now, and then we'll do one together, and then you'll do one on your own. So let's get started. So think of this answer to yourself. What is the difference between the way the lemons are grouped and the circles are grouped? So go ahead, take some think time right now. What do you notice about these lemons and the circles? What's different about the way they are grouped? Again, take some think time. So you may have noticed that this lemons kind of look like equal groups. Like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? But then the circles kind of look like equal groups too, because I have 1, 2, 3 this way. But then going down, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10. So maybe these are equal groups too. That could have been something you said. Maybe you said that the circles were more organized, or that the lemons were in bundles. There's no wrong answer. You can comment in Schoology what you thought about the difference, or what you thought the difference was. So let's skip count now. So go ahead, skip count with me to find the total number of circles. And as I count, and you count with me, I'm going to be writing the total at the end of each row. So in order to do that, we need to know what rows and columns are. So, well, the row is a cross, like so, and then the column is going up and down. So we're going to count the rows, not the columns. So let's go ahead and skip count by threes, because that's what I see. I see 3 circles in each row. So let's start with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. How many rows are there altogether? So you might remember that I said this already because I tried to count them. But how many rows were there? So there are 10 rows. Hope you figured that out. So this image here that we have with the circles, this is called an array. So the way this is grouped is called an array. And we hopefully remember from yesterday and from last year that the lemons are equal groups. So these are 2 different ways to group items in order to be able to figure out the amount. And we can relate both of these to multiplication because it's like skip counting. So let's try and make an equation. Let's actually make the relationship between these arrays and multiplication. What would our multiplication equation be? So a hint is the first number, the first factor is going to be the number of rows. The second number is going to be the size of each group or each row. Well, I know I have 10 rows. This will be my first factor. And then I have 3 in each row, so that's going to be my second factor. So I have 10 times 3. Well now, and we already skip count, so I was going to say we have to skip counts figured out, but we already did that together. So now I know that 10 times 3 equals 30. So let's go ahead and try one together. So I know normally we would turn and talk through in the classroom, but you can at least say your answer to the screen or comment in Schoology if you really want to share. How many rectangles are in the top row? This very first row. How many rectangles do you see? So there are 4 rectangles. If each row is a group, so let's consider this a group, each of those are groups of 4, how many groups of 4 are there in this array? Let's see, I have one group here, a second group there, and a third group here, so there are 3 groups. I hope you said that too. And lastly, I want to write this array as an equation. Remember, the number of rows, so how many rows we have, is going to be the first number, the first factor in our equation. So go ahead and write down your equation, and then we'll test and check. Well, I know there are 3 rows, so that means the first number is 3. And there are 4 in each row, so the second number is going to be 4. So 3 times 4 equals, well, what does this equal? Let's skip count to see. 4, 8, 12. So 3 times 4 equals 12. So I hope you're starting to notice the relationship between the arrays and multiplication. These arrays, all the rows are the numbers we're skip counting by to be able to get to the product. And it's an easier way to organize, and it helps us to visually see the multiplication. So let's try this last one. I'm going to read the directions to you, and then you'll pause and do it on your own. So first you're going to redraw the pictures below as an array of 3 rows with 5 triangles in each row. Then you're going to write down a multiplication expression, so that means no equal sign, to describe the array. Lastly, I want you to skip count in your array to find the product or the answer. So go ahead, pause the video now. Again, pause now, and then press play when you're ready to check your work. Okay, welcome back. If you're watching, that means you've done the work, and now you want to see if you're right. You want to go over your steps to see what you did or what you can do better next time. So the first thing I had to do was redraw. So since I have the triangles here, I'm not going to personally draw, but since you didn't have the triangles in front of you, you were going to draw them. So I wanted 3 rows of 5 triangles. So start with my first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the second row. And lastly, my third row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and there are 5 in each row. So now I had to write an expression, a multiplication expression. Well, I remember from the last slide, I'll refresh your memory real quick, that the number of rows is the first factor. So I just said there are 3 rows, so that's the first factor. And how many were in each row? 5. So 3 times 5. Now I want to skip count to figure out the answer. Well, 3 times 5, let's see, 5, 10, 15. So my product is 15. I'm not writing an equal sign because the directions say that this should be an expression. An expression does not have an equal sign. If I add the equal sign, it becomes an equation. Right. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on Schoology. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.